Hey everybody, welcome back to another exciting episode of the Stash Report from the Stash Project. Today's Friday the 13th, January 2017. Got a few kit announcements, got a few decal sets and things to talk about, as well as a brand new tool to talk about, and there's been a few kits that have been reissued this week. So, somewhat short show, but we should be alright. Next week will probably be much busier as we expect the domestic stuff to start rolling in, as well as the, just generally speaking, the reissues and things to be coming in a little more hot and heavy, as it were. Your kit announcements, these are for March from Hasegawa. They're actually doing a series now of historic, what they're calling historic rally cars. They started it with the announcement of the Lancia Delta HF and the Mitsubishi Galant VR4 for February. So in March, they're going to be reissuing their 1992 Toyota Celica Turbo 4-wheel drive. This represents the fourth place finishing car at the 1992 Tour de Corse Rally. Also, the 1992 Subaru Legacy RS, which is a very early Colin McRae car that ran as the second place finisher at the 1992 Swedish Rally. I think they would probably make a couple of bucks if they would reissue that Subaru Legacy and the wagon that goes along with it as street cars, because there are streetcar kits of that, and they have not been out for a while. Nor has the Galant VR4, for that matter. I'm not sure how well they sold the last time around, which obviously would dictate whether or not they would get reissued in the future. They just really haven't been around for quite a while. It'll be interesting to see if the Legacy wagon is also reissued in its rally format. As they go through this, they're saying that, these two are Kit 3 and Kit 4 of the series, so it'll be interesting to see how many cars are in that series in their mind. But obviously they're tagging along with the fact that race cars of all stripes right now are very hot, and they're going to get their money's worth out of it. And that really is all that has been announced in the last couple of 3-4 days here since the last time we talked. The one big new tool announcement finally broke cover, something I've known about for a while but couldn't tell you because, and that is that BMAX will be doing a Volvo 240 Turbo Group A race car. There remains to be seen if over the long term of this tool, if they're going to do a rally version of it as well, but this kit will be a endurance racer. This car saw action in pretty much every touring car series, European, British, Australian. Also ran Gia Race at Macau for several years. So there will be, of course, a plethora of liveries for this. The Volvo 240T also ran in rallies, as well as like the way the BMW M3 did, mostly tarmac rallies. So it'll be interesting to see if they do a kit of that, or if somebody will do conversions along the way. The other thing we have from BMAX here is a little teaser shot of the interior and I guess would be the front and rear transaxles from the Audi Quattro Group B rally car they're going to be doing. Now, these are 3D prints. They're not test shots. They're not actually, like in the tooling stage yet. This is sort of proof of concept type of thing. So there's that for the people that are interested in what updating on that kit and where it's at. Another thing to talk about here real quick would be from Playmos. They've announced that they're going to be doing a very limited run of this wheel and tire set. This is for the AMG GT. Basically, this fixes the kit's wheels. The kit's wheels were quite not like this at all, obviously. And they're going to be doing, of course, tires. They're 20 and 21 inch, so they're a little staggered. And this will be the only set of wheels for the AMG GT that's going to come with tires. Otherwise, you're going to have to use the tires that come in the kit for the other two sets of wheels we talked about last week. And then I guess pretty much from there, it's on to things that are going to be decaled here in the coming months. We'll start at Renaissance Models. They're a company out of France. They've announced that they're going to be doing this sheet here, which is for the BMAX Nissan 240 RS Group B rally car. It represents either the 80, let's say it's 1983 Monte Carlo rally. There's two different car numbers for that, and the Tour de Corse of that year, also two different car numbers for that. It's more or less a reproduction of the BMAX decals themselves as far as the red and blue goes. They're cut up a little different way than the kit is, but it's it's the same color scheme overall. And then instead of this being Nissan factory dealer support or whatever it was called in the actual New Zealand rally kit that the kit decals are, this car was primarily sponsored by Dunlop. So this will be the first and only set of aftermarket decals for that kit. Due to the fact that, well, it just really didn't do all that good as a rally car. The New Zealand rally, when they finished third place, was the best that car ever finished in its entire lifespan. And of course, in Group B, it didn't last very long as being a big front runner when all the turbos and all-wheel drives and supercharging and all that stuff came in. It was a naturally aspirated little Nissan Silvia. So also from Renaissance coming in the future, they're going to be doing a photo etch set and a resin transkit set to turn the M3 into a rally car. I don't have any pictures of what that is going to entail exactly, but with that, or not with it, this will be separate, but along with those parts to convert it into a rally car, they're going to be doing their version of the Bastros modal livery you see here. Excuse me, guys. I believe there's a Studio 27 set for this same car in the same year, because this is 1987, I want to say. However, of course, those decals are designed to fit the Fujimi M3, which is not going to fit your BMAX M3 because those two cars are quite different. Some other things that we also stole from Spot Model, because it's the only place I can find pictures of them, and I'm not sure anybody carries this decal cause or decalcus, I don't know. They're a company out of Spain. Seem to be relatively new. I can't find any kind of past decals that they've done. You go to their website and it's just like, for information, email. It's just like a blank screen with one line of text on it. But they're going to be doing 4 sets of liveries for the BMW M3. They're going to be doing their rally car, the Camel sponsored. You can sort of see tilted in this picture as this guy's taking a slightly aggressive stance in his driving. For 4 fairly local Spanish rallies, this car in this livery ran a whole bunch of rallies. So I've seen a couple other companies talk about doing this same livery. They're also going to be doing the Jägermeister livery for DTM. That ran 1991, and that actually has the wheels the kit comes with, so you can just sort of roll right on and just paint the car orange and add it to your Jägermeister collection. And then they're doing this set from DTM, which is also 1991, but is running a set of mesh wheels that will be coming out sooner than you think. That runs the Tic Tac livery, which is just a fun-looking car in the first place. And then last, there's this car from the 1987 Australian Touring Championship, the Johnny Player Special. And this is one of those liveries. I think that regardless of how you feel about various racing series, you usually got to grab because it's sort of iconic. And it's one of the very few Johnny Player Special cars that ran outside of F1. There was a Ghia Racing Macau Jaguar XJS that. Actually, decals exist for that, I think, out of Autocolor and MSM Creations to convert the old Hasegawa TWR Racing Jaguar kit into that Ghia Racing Macau car. Of course, the actual kit itself, the Jaguar kit, is sort of borderline unobtainium. They tend to run about $60, $70 when you go in. You can find them, and that's also one of those kits that no one seems to really know the disposition of in terms of like what the tooling is like. I don't think they can ever reissue the factory stock XJS 12 coupe because it was changed into this racing version. The convertible still exists, or enough of the tooling for the convertible still exists, because that's been reissued in the sort of long portrait style boxes that Hasegawa has used recently with some of their other limited edition reissues like the Porsche 944 and 968. So that kit seems to be available, but I don't know what the disposition of the coupe is, because then there was a TWR street car type of thing, and that was sort of the last time anybody's seen the coupe version of that model kit. And that pretty much takes care of decals. We should mention real quick here Studio 27 stuff for January here. These are going to be British touring car liveries. They are the Listerine sponsored car, which would then, of course, after 1991 would become a 318i, and it is the car that is very, very expensive if you could find it. The Dragon did a kit of, and then also the Labatt sponsored car as well. The issue with those two cars are they run a center lock 5-spoke wheel that isn't made by anybody. So those decal sets sort of are something you can collect for future reference. I don't know anybody who's making those 5-spoke wheels. I'm sure somebody will at some point because there's going to just be so much ridiculous aftermarket support for this kit. But as it stands right now, if you want to do it correctly, you can't do that. And then also on here is the Hilton sponsored car from the Ghia Race of Macau in 1987. And this car requires the mesh wheels that the Tic Tac and the JPS car have on those other sheets. So again, out of the box, from when these decals are released in a week or two, you're not going to be able to build any of the 3 of those cars. I think it's a very odd thing to do. There's obviously Australian touring, British touring, just like DTM, European touring, Ghia Race of Macau stuff that's more current than this 1980s stuff, because the 1980s cars also, and neither did the British touring cars, none of them ran that little extra lip that's on the back of the kit spoiler, so you have to shave that off in order to do all 3 of these. There were cars like the Jägermeister, which we turn into if you have too much Jägermeister, that run the kit the way the kit is constructed with the BBS wheels, with the Evo wing and all the rest of that stuff. So I don't understand what the purpose of creating a set of decals, the Unitron decals, which represent 2 team cars, which they're cool decals. It's a nice livery and everything. However, they're really poorly, not poorly done, but the car itself, the real car, did really bad. It was like a 27th place finishing car in the points, and then the other car wasn't even a full-time car, and it didn't even get any points. It's very hard to find any kind of information on the second driver even because of how badly the car did. So now we're going to do these decals that if you're going to be, honest about, the fact that you really can't build a race car just for the S and G's of it, in the sense of like, oh, I'll just make it whatever I want to be. Well, no, it's a race car. It's a replica of something that was real. Race cars are like IPMS military ship and airplanes. You're representing something that existed in history. You can't just make it whatever you want to be. So you'll have to wait for, at least wheels for that stuff. And then I think that's pretty much it as far as that goes. Let me check through the files here real quick, make sure I'm not forgetting anything. Nope. And so we have the kit reissues from this week, and they are out of Hasegawa. The Kenworth Kramer Racing Porsche 962C from the World Sports Car Championship Prototypes series. So another 962C, kind of like the livery. Although there's very little of the actual red on the decal sheet. You get that little front widow's peak, if you will, that goes through the Kenworth on the front of the hood area, if you will, of the car, and then you get a little bit of the you get like the back widow's peak that goes from the back of the engine cover to the wing. The sides and the roof and the wing and all that stuff, you got to paint red. So it's going to be a 2-tone color scheme there. And then the other kit that's been reissued out of Hasegawa so far for this month is the Idemitsu Motion Mugen EG6 Civic race car. This decal sheet, on the other hand, is pretty much completely done. You paint this car white and the decals will do everything else for you. It's kind of interesting juxtaposition. I don't know, maybe because the curves of the 962 are a little harder to cover up in the sense of the pilot house being all rounded on top of a sort of a rounded wedge shaped body. The Civic's jelly bean for all intents and purposes, but for some reason they've done pretty much all the decals there. It may be because that's how the decals were done originally, and these are sort of reproducing old kits that have been done before. So be as it may, that's another option for the Civic race car guys out there. You can also get those decals from SK Decals and a few other places to represent the same car. And it all depends on how correct you want them to be. Usually the kit decals, they're not quite as good as the aftermarket stuff, because the aftermarket guys can remake the stuff after seeing the kit decals, if you will. And then from Aoshima, 2 reissues on the Best Car Vintage set. This will clear up the rest of the Cedric reissues for this month, and they are the 330 Cedric 4-door hardtop 2000 SGLE, there's not a lot to talk about with these kits in the sense of what they represent being motorized chassis. I mean, both these kits have the same chassis, and they're two generations apart as far as what cars they represent. And then there's the Y30 Cedric V30 Brougham Turbo Brougham VIP car. Not a VIP car in the sense of what you would expect in a VIP car from Japan, but just that was the trim level VIP. Again, same sort of thing, kit from the 1980s, and it rides the same generic motorized chassis as the 330 and the 430 Cedrics. The funny thing is when they did the intermediate Cedric in Glory kits that fall between the other ones that they've done before, that car has a slightly updated version of this chassis that's demotorized and has a little more engraving detail to it and stuff like that. And it just puzzles me why that chassis, because the chassis plate, is a separate piece. It's not attached to all the runners. Why they don't just put that chassis in these kits that would probably, make them a lot more palatable to a lot more people, especially me. But of course, they're not going to do what I want all the time. But, I just think it would be worth the time and effort to figure out how to make that work. And that, guys, is pretty much it. We've seen box art now for the Aventador Super Veloce. So that kit will be coming out in January for anybody who's been waiting on that one. That one's, sort of slid a little bit, but it will be out in January. I think January 23rd is the release date on it now. But the box art is done, so that kit is coming. We've pretty much seen box art for all of the Aoshima kits this month except for one, which I'm sure, it's done. It's just the box art has never been shown just because it's sort of like an oversight or something like that. Or maybe it'll be late. I don't know. But everything else pretty much seems to be on schedule for this month. So anyway, guys, hope you had a good weekend, and we'll see you guys.